All right, welcome to this video. This time we have a circle inscribed inside a square. So we have a circle inside a square. And we need to find some key pieces. And we're going to calculate some formulas. So let's start with understanding what we're looking at. A circle is inside the square. They're given us the number 16. Notice the 16 is the bottom base, but this shape is a square. So the bottom base of the square is 16. Now, what do we know about squares and their sides? All the sides are equal. So if the bottom base is 16, then the top is 16, and the sides are 16. Now, before I continue, notice that they've drawn the diagonal for me. I don't need the diagonal for anything, but instead, I will need to find diameter and radius. So remember, diameter is starting at the edge, going through the center, all the way to the other edge. And the radius is half that distance. But notice I drew diameter, and it's the same length as the top and the bottom. So the diameter for this example is 16. They don't have any units, so let's just give it some units. Let's call it inches, okay? Well, if the diameter is 16, what is the radius? Well, we know the radius is half the diameter, or is diameter divided by 2. So half of 16, or 16 divided by 2, is 8. So that's 8 inches. All right, now using a diameter of 16 and a radius of 8, and the sides of the square being 16, let's see if we can calculate some things. So first, we define the perimeter of the square. Well, perimeter is the distance around the outside of the square. And how can I find the total distance? Keyword here is total. Around the square. Well, I can do that by adding. So I can add all the sides together. So perimeter is equal to 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16. But we know multiplication is repeated addition. So that's the same as saying 16 times 4. So off to the side, we can do 16 times 4. And we get 64. So this has a perimeter of 64 inches. So that's 16 inches plus 16 inches plus 16 inches plus 16 inches. So inches stay the same. All right, now they want us to find the area of the square. Well, remember, a square is the same as a rectangle. And if I ask you what the formula for area of a rectangle, hopefully you'll say length times width. Well, because it's a square, the length and the width are the same thing. So the area of a square can be found by doing the side squared, which is the same as saying length times width. It just so happens for the square, the length and the width are the same. So this means capital A is equal to 16 times 16, or shorthand, 16 squared. So off to the side, once again, we can do 16 times 16. And we get 256. Now remember, this was 16 inches times 16 inches, and when we're multiplying inch times inch, becomes inches squared. All right, so the perimeter of the square is 64 inches. The area of the square is 256 inches. Let's keep going. They now want the circumference of the circle. Well, they're telling us we can use the formula circumference equals 2 pi times radius, but we also know that we can use circumference equals pi times diameter. So let's just go ahead and rewrite our key pieces real quick. we found that diameter was 16 inches and radius was 8 inches. So we'll go ahead and find circumference using both formulas so we can verify we get the same thing. So circumference is equal to 2 times pi times radius, which is 16 pi inches. Or we can do circumference is equal to pi times diameter, which is still going to be 16 pi inches. Both work. So that's great. All right, let's look at this one. Now it says find the area of the circle. Well, in order to find area, there really is only one formula. And it is, if it lets me highlight it, there we go. It is pi times radius squared. But that's the same as saying pi times radius times radius. Okay, the radius was 8 inches. So that means area of the circle is pi times 8 inches times 8 inches, which is 64 pi inches squared. Remember, we're giving an exact answer, so we're keeping the pi. And between addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, multiplication can be invisible. So in between the 64 and pi, there's really a multiplication symbol. It's just invisible. So they're attached to each other. 64 times pi inches squared. All right, so as a recap, let's just go ahead and remind ourselves one more time. There's a relationship between radius and diameter. Radius is half of diameter, and diameter is 2 times radius. There are 2 formulas we can use to find circumference. Either circumference equals 2 times pi times diameter, or circumference equals pi times diameter. In order to find area, oh, and by the way, we should say of a circle. Here we go. In order to find area of a circle, there is one formula, and that is area equals pi times radius squared. And then the neat thing is, if we're given a square or a rectangle, we can talk about perimeter and area of the square or rectangle. Remember, circumference and perimeter are the same thing. It's the distance on the outside. The only problem is a circle doesn't have any sides. So when we say perimeter, we're saying add all the sides. But if a circle doesn't have any sides, you don't add them. Instead, you find their circumference. So perimeter, I really don't need a formula. I just need a statement. Add all outside, outer, I should use outer, so I don't use the word side twice. Add all outer sides together. And of course, there's formulas, but it's going to be the same as adding. Area, though, is length times width. And remember, this is for a square or a rectangle. And remember, a square is a rectangle. In particular, squares, all the sides are the same. So the shorthand is just to do the side squared. But that's the same as saying side times side, or length times width. All right, so this is where we'll end this video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.